These eyes are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of loves, but they'll never see another love like I had with you. Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with a little bit of an Earth 2 update video. So, if you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. I hope y'all have been getting this bread. Everyone comment down below with if you got this bread yet. If you cashed out, if you're not cashed out, if you sold any property, not. I'm looking at a picture of Mark Zuckerberg right now. He's got really large lateral incisors. Anyway, someone sent me this article. I don't think that they wrote it. I think it's just something that they had sent me. But it was from a writer. It said, "Billionaires see VR as a way to avoid radical social change." What does that mean? Well, let's get into the article. The future of virtual reality is far more than just video games. Silicon Valley sees the creation of virtual worlds as the ultimate free market solution to a political problem. In a world of increasing wealth inequality, environmental disaster, and political instability, why not sell everyone a device that whisks them away to a virtual world free of pain and suffering? Tech billionaires aren't shy about sharing this. Quote, "Some people read this the wrong way and read incorrectly into it. The promise of VR is to make the world you wanted. It's not possible on Earth to give everyone all that they would want. Not everyone can have Richard Branson's private island." End quote. Doom co-creator and former CTO of Oculus, John Carmack, had told Joe Rogan during a 2020 interview, that was last year, because we're in 2021 right now, people react negatively to any talk of economics, but it is a resource allocation. You have to make decisions about where things go. Economically, you can deliver a lot more value to a lot of people in the virtual sense. So this all makes a lot of sense, and a lot of people can argue. They can say like, hey, well, you know what? This is the billionaire's way of like keeping everyone down. You know, they can't get this in real life. We're not going to give it to them. So let's give it to them in virtual reality. This way they don't, rise up and kill us or eat us. And okay, yeah, I guess that's a decent point. But also at the same time, it's just a lot of times it's just economically you're just born into a different situation, and virtual reality is a way to just escape from it all. Even Shane, the developer himself, says like, listen, I love, because he works at his desk like 24/7. Says like, he says I love going into Earth 2 and just looking at the landscape, going up and down, flying, looking at the stars, just looking at everything because it's so beautiful. When I was in Kuwait, I did not see grass for 7 months. There were some times where, and I'll leave those stories for another day. I'll make that a Veterans React video. But yeah, some people just never see grass. Some people have never seen snow. I mean, not in real life anyway. So this is something that we could give them, that they can give us. If in case like I've never been to Russia, could see it here. Virtual reality is an attractive escape, but it's not a solution to the world's ills. Problems of the real world will persist beyond the borders of the metaverse created by companies such as Epic, Valve, Facebook. With decisive and radical attention, our planet will continue to burn. The gap between the rich and the poor will grow. Oh my God, this is so negative. And totalitarian political movements will flourish, all while some of us are plugged into a virtual world. Wow, that got dark. But yeah, I understand that too. I mean, this isn't going to solve any problems, but it could. I mean, if you're really, really poor, you're not going to be able to afford an Oculus 2, Oculus Quest, whatever. But a lot of, phones are becoming very, very ubiquitous. Now, granted, half the world right now does not have internet. They do not. But phones are pretty cheap to make. And when you have someone like Elon Musk bringing up satellites throughout the entire world in space, giving everyone free internet that does not have it, what's that going to be? Like, what is going to happen when people say like, oh, okay, and again, the people that give out ad revenue, the people that do, all they see is people. They see people that are coming in to your spot, doing whatever they do, and whether they be people that can actually pay for the ads that they're targeting, Bic pens, and that's what they want to sell, or people that can afford that, or people that can't afford that. People are going in. So that's just something to think about real quick. Now, something positive. By the principle of the free market Silicon Valley lives and dies by, virtual reality is a loser. Yeah, okay. Right now, they're just saying that, and this is really biased, I guess, against virtual reality, but this is something where virtual reality, this is just the beginning. This is just literally the baby steps. Like right now, we are Poliwags. We are baby Pokemon. We're not even Poliwags. We are Pikachus getting ready to evolve into Pikachu. No, we're basic Pokemon right now. We are stage one. We're literally in phase one. We are Poliwags. As phase two comes on, we're able to do things. Oh, Poliwhirl. Then when phase three comes, bam, Poliwrath. With that being said, right now we do have only 1.7% of Steam users have a VR headset. Now, it's according to a December 2020 hardware survey. And while it's true that sales of headsets are up during the pandemic, roughly 30% in 2020 over 2019, video game sales in general are up overall, which is a good thing. Video games, again, they started with Pong. They started with a couple of these random things where it was just two sides and bouncing a ball back together, back and forth. It becomes so immersive. Like, it's no longer nerdy to play video. Like, when I was growing up, you're a nerd. You were a straight up geek. You were just someone that no one wanted to hang out with, and you just playing video games. Like, it got a little bit more accepted because there was some people that did not know that Ninja Turtles were cool. They thought like, oh yeah, it's for babies, it's for nerds. Power Rangers, that's for babies. That's cool. Video games are awesome. There's fighting games. Even a guy that I served with, he's saying like, who had a very very different life growing up. He's like saying, yeah, it was considered like nerdy, and you were not a man if you sat inside and played video games. But then he said, his little brother showed him Street Fighter and took him to an anime convention, and he says like, yeah, I never had that much fun in the streets. People, I think like everybody likes video games, they just don't know it yet. So as this gains more traction, and I'm just talking about first world people in the first world that are just getting into it, as this gains more traction, you're going to have a lot more people coming in, a lot more people for ad revenue. Just the exposure to this is just such an untapped potential. I can't wait. This is also something that is going to have a S-curve adoption, where right now, in the beginning, these VR headsets were thousands of dollars. And then, you have some premier headsets like the Valve Index, cost about $1,000 still. Okay, that's out of the range of a lot of people. But then you have Facebook's Oculus Quest 2, that's $299. So, I mean, you could make the argument, yeah, after taxes and everything, yeah, it's $300 something dollars. You need, and maybe there's some in-app purchases, but the cost is coming down. Like, as the cost comes down, sales are going to go up so dramatically. That's what Tesla does. Tesla says, like, oh, this is how much we can make a car for, so we sell it for this much. So as, to make a little bit of profit, and as they find cheaper ways to make the car, they don't keep that price up here. They cut the price down, passing the savings onto the healthy consumer, which is us. That is what's going to happen with Facebook. That is what's going to happen with anyone that sells virtual reality stuff. And you don't need virtual reality to play Earth 2. You could just do it on your phone, computer, laptop, Chromebook, whatever. But that's just something to add to the experience. And, well, what are you going to do when you get virtual reality stuff? You're going to play games that you can have in virtual reality, like Earth 2. Just another thing to think of. And that Carmack guy that was talking to Joe Rogan, he even says, he was very explicit about the importance of tech companies pushing virtual reality, saying, quote, "Not everyone can have a mansion. Not everyone can have a home theater. These are things we can simulate to some degree in virtual reality. Now, the simulation is not as good as the real thing. If you are rich and you have your own home theater or mansion and private island, good for you. You're probably not the people that are going to benefit the most from that." He said, quote, "Most people in the world live in cramped quarters that are not what they would choose to be if they had unlimited resources," end quote. Absolutely 100% true. And a lot of these people that don't have much, again, I've seen a lot of them, they have wicked good imaginations. Because they don't have anything to be distracted by. They can only wonder and imagine, and God, things beyond their wildest dreams. So I really can't wait for this. This is going to help people. And again, I know I've been saying this before. It's not only saying like, oh, hey, kid can help with the bills. Yeah, a kid can help with the bills and ease burden on the parents. But also if the kid doesn't see his parents or her parents or parent if they're single parent households, because that parent is working 3 jobs. That kid brings in an extra $100 a week. Maybe that parent only has to work 2 jobs, can spend more time with their kid. So that's just something that a byproduct of this game that it's just going to solve. And I can't wait. I'm 100% in on this. Partly because we can make a lot of money, but partly because what it means. I mean, if you have kids that grew up, without parents, a lot of times, they're not as usually not as happy as if they grew up with parents because they didn't have as much of a childhood. They didn't get, that mom and dad affection. But yeah, I just thought that was pretty interesting. So moving on, there's something that some of you might not know about called computer brain interface. I'm going to read a little bit about that here. Yeah, I've mentioned Elon Musk before. Obviously, he's working on a brain machine interface called Neuralink. Similarly, Valve's Gabe Newell is heavily invested in creating the literal Matrix, saying, quote, "We're closer to the Matrix than people realize," end quote. Told that to IGN in 2020. But in a televised interview with New Zealand's One News, Newell was explicit about creating a world where brains and computers interface and computers are able to make changes to the brain. He even called a body a meat peripheral and further dehumanized the physical form, saying that you're used to experiencing the world through eyes, but eyes were created by this low-cost bidder that didn't care about failure rates and RMAs, and if it got broken, there was no way to repair anything effectively, which totally makes sense from an evolutionary perspective, but not at all reflective of consumer preferences, end quote. So he's getting real deep into psychology there, and that's something that, if you have these games, again, these are billionaires looking at trying to get these products to everyone in the world. And again, what that could mean for what that could mean for the world in general is fantastic. But what that could mean for Earth too, what that could mean for us, investments, how much money is going to be put into this, a lot. So like I said, I'm in. I'm all in. I've never been out. Let's get this bread. Let's get this bread, guys. All right, goodbye. Meow, meow, meow. Everyone comment down below what you thought of the video. If you want me to do readings like this, let me know. All right, goodbye. Meow, meow.